Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Creepy Basement, aka the Axe Workshop, where today we're going to be showing some love to my belt knife. Alrighty, so before we get into what exactly we're doing to this knife today, I just wanted to talk about the knife a little bit. So, in last video, the one I posted right before this one, I was processing fatwood, and that was the first time that my belt knife had ever made an appearance in any of my videos. Up until that point, it was only axe stuff, anything with axes. I got quite a few questions on this knife, so I figured real quick we'll talk about it. What kind of knife is it? Where did I get it? How much did it cost me? What I think about it. If you do want a full review on this knife, let me know down in the comments. I'll be more than happy to make one because I really do enjoy this knife a lot. Okay, so this knife is made by a company called Bps Knives, and they're made in Ukraine, and this model in particular is the Adventurer. I purchased this knife off of Amazon back in December for around 40 bucks, and I'll have to double check, but I'm pretty sure the price has not changed since, which is awesome because as you see, it's a really high quality knife for that price. I was really impressed. Obviously at $40 anybody would be a little skeptical, especially for what this knife comes with, but guys, I was blown away. So the Adventurer comes with this beautiful thick leather sheath. It's got a nice welt stitch. It's got one rivet up here. Comes with a stitched in loop for the ferrocerium rod that it does come with. It's got a regular belt carry position, and it also has a dangler as well. And if you're not into that kind of thing, you could just tuck it down like that, and it's up against your leg, you don't even feel it. So the knife itself is like that. It's advertised as 1066 high carbon steel, so you do have to be aware of rusting. It has walnut scales on it, and guys, this knife came extremely sharp out of the box. I was blown away. Took this thing out of the box, and you can shave with it. No joke. It's about an eighth inch thick, full tang knife. It did come with a nice polish on it. Obviously, over time of use and stuff like that, it started to turn a little more satiny, which is something I prefer anyhow. But yeah, guys, at 40 bucks, completely blown away with this knife. Feels really good in the hand, no hot spots, just absolutely awesome. So I'm going to quit rambling about the knife because, like I said earlier, if you do want to see a full review on the knife, I'd be very happy to do that for you guys. Just let me know down in the comments if it's something you're interested in. So now let's get into what we're going to be doing to the knife today. Alright guys, I had to do a shirt change, spilled my coffee on myself because obviously I'm a full-grown baby and I can't handle a coffee. So, aside from that, what we're going to be doing to the knife today. One main thing is I would like to do a few coats of Birchwood Casey's gun bluing. I would like to force a patina on this just because it is high carbon steel. Sometimes with the humidity or the knife going back in the sheath a little damp or whatnot, it starts to get a little powdery with flash rust. Nothing crazy, you could just wipe it right off, but you know, I'd like to protect it from rust as much as I can. So we're going to actually take the scales off and do it correctly. We're going to fully blue the whole handle, the tang and everything. We're not going to work around the wood. We're going to do it right the first time. Aside from that, if you see here, the tang comes a little bit above the wood scales. I don't know if the camera's picking that up. And it sits a little below here. And then underneath, the tang is pretty much below the wood scales all the way up into here. And honestly, if I wasn't removing the scales to blue this, I probably would leave it like that. It hasn't caused me any discomfort or issues or anything like that using the knife. Obviously, like I said, I've used it since December, and if it was that big of a deal, trust me, I would have done it sooner. But since we're doing some bluing to it, and we gotta take the scales off anyway, we may as well. Another thing I'd like to get done today is I would like to wet form this sheath. When I first got the knife, it did fit very tight and kind of clicked in, and it had really good, retention, which is awesome. But like with any kind of leather product, over time of using it and oiling it and stuff like that, it starts to soften a little bit, and it just doesn't have as good a retention anymore, and it kind of just falls out, gets banged around a little bit in the woods, and I've had it on the dangler and it tip and actually fall out of the sheath. One, that's like dangerous, and two, I don't want to damage the knife. So I've never done any wet forming with leather before, so we're going to give it a shot. Hopefully it all works out. And yeah, so I'm going to quit rambling and we're going to get started on it. Alright, so I figure we'll start with the scales since it's still mounted to the knife, because it'll give us a nice reference on where to stop taking material. Because if we do it off of the knife, we might take too much wood away or too much metal away, and then we're back to where we are now and nothing lines up. So while we're doing all this, I have the sheath soaking in a bucket of water, so hopefully that's ready to go by the time we're ready to start forming the sheath. Alright, so now the tang and the wood scales are flush all the way around. And you know what? Maybe I should have did this long ago. That feels awesome. I finished it all up all the way down to 220. I don't think there's really need to go any further. Well, I'm sure glad we're doing this, because look, the tang definitely took on quite a bit of moisture. Look at all that rust under there. And then look at the inside of the scales. So we're gonna, since these are pretty flat, we'll lay them right on some sandpaper and clean those up too. Alright, so a lot better than it was. Still a little bit of discoloration, but remove most of it. So now we can move on to the knife itself, and we'll get rid of all this junk and get it prepped up and ready for the cold bluing. Okay, so we got all the rust off, sanded it all the way up to 600 grit. I figure that's pretty smooth enough. I don't think we need to go any more. Not that the knife wasn't smooth, but just trying to remove scratches from the heavier sandpaper. So should be good to go now. We are going to wipe it down with some acetone, get some rubber gloves on us so we don't, one, get that corrosive material from the bluing on our hands, and so we don't get more oils onto the metal. See how it changes right in front of you? Pretty crazy. Happens pretty quick. Alright, so that's how our first coat went. And you see how it looks really patchy and uneven. Now what we're going to do is take our steel wool and you burnish it. See, after the steel wool, it's a lot more even looking, and oops, sorry, it's out of frame. A lot more even looking, but it's still very light. So we're going to go ahead and do a second coat, and we're probably going to end up doing 3 to 4 coats. Alrighty, so there it is. That's 3 coats of Birchwood KC Super Blue. I think it came out real nice, and I didn't think about doing this before because it would have had plenty of time to dry, but we're going to coat the scales in Killinger's snake juice. We'll do a light coat for now so we can get the scales on, and we'll do another coat later on because we've had this sheath soaking for well over an hour now, and I don't know if that's good or bad, and I want to get to forming that sheath. Man, I absolutely love this stuff. Chris, if you're watching this video, dude, this stuff is amazing. I know you just re-upped your supply. Probably should have jumped on that. It's probably sold out by now. Because, man, I need to stockpile this stuff. It's amazing. Guys, if you don't have this, hit up Chris Killinger and do yourself a favor and get some snake juice. Axe handles, knife handles, I don't know, all kinds of handles. This stuff is just amazing. Alright guys, I put the handles back on it, or the scales, however you want to say it, and man, I thought I was in love with this knife before. Whew. If you have one of these knives, or you have a high carbon steel knife with wood grips, I highly recommend this. It came out beautiful. You guys ready for it? Look at that. That just looks absolutely gorgeous. I'm sure the camera's not doing it any justice. I wish you all were here with me to enjoy this moment. I mean, you are, but not in person, because this is something else. That came out absolutely beautiful. So I heavily coated the knife in oil and wrapped it up in saran wrap, because when we wet form the sheath around the knife, the sheath is going to have to dry to its shape with the knife in it. So we don't want to, even though we put a force patina on it, you leave anything sit, anything even with a bluing on it, sit in water like that, it's going to obviously rust. So now we're going to get the sheath out and start forming it around the knife. Alright, I'll start off by getting a lot of the heavy water off of it. Hopefully it's soaked long enough. I don't really know. Like I said, I've never done this before, so we'll see how it goes. Slide the knife in. Just cut through. No? Alright, so that's where the knife wants to naturally sit. And I'm assuming you just have to do one of these numbers here. Alrighty, so it's starting to take form here. I'm just keeping pressure, and you can you're starting to be able to see the handle. Not sure if that's coming up in camera. Yeah, you can start to see the indentation of the handle, where before it was just almost like a tube. So I'm going to hold steady on this for a couple minutes, and hopefully it takes shape. And then it's going to take a few days to dry, I'm assuming, to fully dry. So what we'll do is we will revisit this in a couple days. Obviously, it'll be a matter of seconds for you guys, but for me, a couple days, and then we'll see how it turned out. Alrighty guys, so I'm back. It's been about 30 hours. I just got home from work, and I could not wait to come check on the progress of the sheath. So the sheath appears to be pretty dry. It looks like it's holding its shape pretty well. Obviously the knife is still in it, so hopefully it keeps that shape after the knife is out. We'll unwrap the knife, make sure the oil and saran wrap did its job of preventing any rust, and then we'll make sure that the sheath keeps its form even with the knife out of it, and hopefully holds the knife a lot better than it did before. And if it does, then man, this project was an absolute success. So let's see what happens. Alright, it appears that the front may have pushed through the saran wrap a little bit. Looks like the oil, for the most part, did its job. I got a little discoloration, possibly rust on the tip there, but that looks like that should just wipe right off. Alrighty guys, let's see how it fits in the sheath. Seems to fit in okay. A little tighter than before maybe. I don't know, kind of hard to remember. See if it falls out under its own weight. Oh, you saw that? It slid a little bit. That's not a good sign. Let's give her a little shake. Alright, so it's pretty close to how it was before. Like I said before in the video, this is my first time ever wet forming leather, so, you know, hey, it could have went either way. It could have went exactly how I planned, or it could have went like this. So, yeah, if any of you guys have experience with wet forming leather or any kind of leather work, please let me know down in the comments what I could have done differently to get better results, and I will definitely give that a try. So yeah, that's going to be it for today's video. I hope you all enjoyed watching it. I hope you're able to learn something. I know I had a ton of fun doing these little upgrades to this knife, and I couldn't be more happy with how it came out. I just absolutely love the way it looks with that nice dark bluing up against the dark walnut handles. Couldn't be more happier with this knife. It's absolutely gorgeous. And functions well too. So, guys, thank you so much again for watching, taking the time out of your day to cruise the channel. And I just want to say a special thank you to each and every one of you, because we just hit 300 subs. Guys, I never thought I was going to be on YouTube, and never thought, even if I was, I would grow as a channel. And I know 300 isn't a lot compared to all the other channels out there, but for me it's a huge accomplishment, and it couldn't have been done without each and every one of you. So I just want to say thank you so much, and we'll see you guys on the next one.